Hello, Physio practice owners. If you ever thought about running YouTube ads or want to run very powerful, high ROI YouTube ads for your physio practice, this is the episode for you. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. It's a special episode in how to master YouTube ads for your physio practice. Now, it's pretty likely if you're running YouTube ads, great. You're already ahead of the game for your practice, right? Even if you have multiple practices and you're running YouTube ads, what I'm about to share with you is a great framework for you to go back and revisit very regularly just to make sure that your ads are performing at the high level that they can and should be for YouTube, right? If you're not running YouTube ads, if you've never even thought about them, this is a great starting point to get you to take that next step in terms of, like I mentioned, a framework and exactly how to do that, right? So let's get going. Firstly, why YouTube ads? You're probably thinking, how is that even relevant to my practice? Maybe, right? If you're doing, like I said, YouTube ads, fantastic. You already get this. Let's extend that and make sure you're getting even better results with YouTube ads. But here's the reason. Now, if you're on video watching this, I've got something in front. I'm sorry, it's a bit small, but the reason why we should be running YouTube ads, well, when it comes to any marketing really, is you got to go where your new patients hang out. Simple rule, right? You go there and then you take them through the buying cycle, or what we call the total patient matrix buying cycle. I'll share with you what that is a bit later on. You go there, to take them through the cycle until they eventually become a patient with you in the practice, right? So in speaking of going to where people hang out, now what I've got behind me here is a list of the top websites in the world in terms of visits, the number of people who visit it. All right. Now, number one is google.com. All right. So, we're not going to be talking about this in this episode. Google SEO, Google ads. If you're not doing that, that is a good reason for you to be doing that. A lot of people are on Google, and this is current as of December 2024. All right. This is not 2 years ago. This is right now. Okay. So Google's number one. Number two is youtube.com. Obviously it's YouTube, right? Number three is Facebook. Number four is Instagram. Number five is X or Twitter. Number six is WhatsApp. Number seven is Wikipedia. Number seven is Reddit. Number nine is ChatGPT. All right. Number 10 is Yahoo, and the list goes on. But if you really look at it, number two is YouTube. And here's what's really important. Once again, I know you probably can't see this, but in this rank, they show the average visit duration. In other words, how long somebody stays on this website whenever they get there, right? On average. For Google, it's 10 minutes and 21 seconds, which is pretty large, right? In an attention-hungry world, to keep someone's attention on average for 10 minutes and 21 seconds, that's big. So once again, if you're not doing Google ads, there's a good reason for you to do that. But look at YouTube. YouTube's average visit duration is twice of what that is of Google. It's 20 minutes and 31 seconds. Think about it. It's such a powerful platform that it demands about 20 and a half minutes on average of someone's attention whenever they get there every time, right? Not only that, the number of pages you visit is 11.03, meaning the number of pages they go through in YouTube is 11. There's quite a lot they go through, right? In Google, it's almost 8 pages per visit, and YouTube is 11, right? So if you haven't thought about doing YouTube ads, this should be a big signal that you should start to look at it. Remember, key principle in marketing is to go where your patients are hanging out. And one method is doing it this way, having a look at the most popular websites in the world, because your patients, whether you believe it or not, they'll be in these websites. You've got to go in front of them and show your message. There's other ways of targeting as well, but this is one very big way to do that. All right. So I hope that's given you enough reason to really consider YouTube if you haven't done so already. Right? So again, YouTube ads, there's over 2 billion monthly users, obviously around the world, are 2 billion monthly users. Think about that number. It's a big, big number. 2 billion people get on YouTube every single month with obviously lots of varying interests, right? And you might be wondering, but how can we make ads on this for our physiotherapy clinic, right? I will show you that all in a second, how to break all that down. But this is a really great way to showcase your ads in a very powerful way to people who might be looking for physio, massage therapy, and all that kind of thing that you have within the practice. So what's the real role in marketing? The 2 billion people is a lot of people, but as I'll cover a bit later on, there are segments within that user base that you can target in a very precise way that are more likely to be interested in your practice, right? So YouTube's role is to really get in front of the people in a very visual way, right? Being very visual is a very powerful way to get in front of people, right? And it's something that this is why the visit average time is more than 20 minutes, because it's a very powerful way to grab attention. So you can leverage off that. It's a very, very important thing. All right. Now, before we go and look at the rest of the process and the framework, I want to bring you back right down to the basics, right? In having a look at what we call the total patient matrix, right? The total patient matrix. If you haven't heard of this concept before, the total patient matrix is a way of breaking down the entire population that can potentially be a patient of your practice, breaking them down into a category in terms of where they are in the buying cycle or becoming a new patient cycle, right? So let's just say in your practice, with your radius people typically come from, within that, there'll be a certain number of people. Let's just say 100 people. Every one of those 100 people fit into this total patient matrix. You just got to know where they are in the cycle. That will help you determine what kind of message you should be putting out there. All right. So here's the thing. We'll go from the top and bottom. So once again, if you're watching us on video, it'll be easy to see. You'll see a pyramid in front of you, right? And the tip of that pyramid is 3% buying right now. So that means they're the people who are, for example, physio near me, physio near whatever location you're in. They're looking for a solution right now. Out of the 100 people, 3 people are doing that. Now, 6 to 7% of that are open to it, meaning that they are actively doing some research on physio. For example, how do I get rid of my low back pain? What do I need to do to get back to normal life after giving birth? All that kind of thing. They're in research mode. They're gathering information, but they haven't leaped yet into physio near me stage, looking for a solution stage, right? So that makes about 10%, 9 to 10% of the entire market. Right? Remember, if you had 100 people in your area that you can potentially have as patients, 9 to 10 people will belong in this category, right? And underneath that, 30% are not thinking about it. That means they have a problem, right? Let's just say they have low back pain, but they're probably too busy to think about it. They just haven't thought about it much, right? They have a problem, but they haven't thought about it. This could be somebody who's, I don't know, getting some back pain while they're working at a desk or something like that, but they haven't gone to, how do I get rid of my back pain? Right? That's a big part of the market. It's 3 times as many as the people who are actually searching for a solution on, let's just say Google, or they're actually typing something in. That's 30% of people. Underneath that, you've got another 30% of people who don't think they are interested. Meaning, let's just go back to the working at the desk example, right? They've got a setup that is not ergonomically set up. And you know, as a physio, eventually over time, they'll start to get some back pain, neck pain, migraines, all that kind of thing. You know, that's the course they're going to go through, which means you'll be able to give them value or service them, but they don't know that, right? They're at a place where the desk is not set up pretty well. Everything's pretty good at the moment, and they don't think right now they need you because there's no pain, all right? They're not at that 30% not thinking about finding a solution yet. And the last 30%, they know they're not interested. We don't need to talk about this bunch, all right? So they're not relevant. They're just 30 people out of 100. Doesn't matter what you do for them, unless they get to at least they don't think they're interested. Whatever you do is not going to matter to them, right? So ignore them. So basically, if you really think about it, at the very least, you've got 70% of people that you can target as potential patients. So out of 100 people, you have 70% of people that you can be directly helpful for. That's a big number, right? We didn't realize that. Like I mentioned, you've got to get the messaging and the ad right for each of these segments. You've got to break it down really, really well. So let me show you what kind of video types you need to have for each one of these 4 rungs, right? So what do you need to have for buying now? What do you need to have people who are open to it? What do you need to have for people that's got a problem but they're not thinking about it? And what do you need to have for people that are doing something that they don't think they're going to need you for it? All right, let's have a look. So people who are ready to rock and roll and they are looking for a physio service, all right? They're looking to get some help from a physio. You want to have what we call service intro ads, where it introduces your services to ready patients to go. You want to have that kind of ads. I'll give you some examples a bit later on, right? So that's the 3% of the top, all right? So service intro ads, 3% of the top. Okay, informational ads. Remember in the matrix, you have 6 to 7% that are open to it. They're doing research. You want to give that information to them. So you have informational ads. You know, once again, I'll share with you what these are, right? So you give them informational ads because they're open to it. Underneath that, okay, you have they are not thinking about it, right? For these, you have success stories. All right, I was sitting at a desk and I didn't realize I was getting all this back pain, but then I went to this physio practice and I can't believe I haven't had back pain for the last, whatever, you insert, right? That's for the people that are not thinking about it yet, all right? That and awareness ads. So along with success stories, awareness ads, like, you know, once again, showing somebody at a desk and what can happen and all that kind of thing, that is awareness, right? Because they're not really thinking about it yet, or they think they're not interested yet. You make it aware that if something does happen, all right, the way they may be going, the way they are going, it's likely that they're going to need your help. Make that aware, all right? So if you really look at it, the aim of all of these types of ads, right, if you're starting out from the bottom, is to slowly raise them up through the total patient matrix to get them to be in the buy now state, right? They're looking to book in an appointment. Then I need to get that booked into the diary. Just those are some principles that you can create video ads on, right? Now let me show you, give you a framework in how to create YouTube ads in terms of what to put in there. Because one of the things I hear a lot of practice owners is, you know, you might be the type of practice owner that is happy to get in camera or, you know, create a lot of video assets and things like that. If that is you, this is made for you. You really need to be taking advantage of that because you already have the skills there. But for others who are a little bit maybe reserved, you don't want to get in front of camera or for whatever reason, you're a bit reluctant to create video assets, this is a great way, what I'm about to share with you is a great way to start thinking about how you can. So hopefully there's been big enough reason I gave you before about the number of people and the engagement on YouTube. So it's a massive market that you're missing out on if you're not there, right? I hope that's enough of a reason for you to get on there and really create ads, but I'll give you a framework if you're not 100% comfortable, what you can do about it and how you can go about it. Right? So the first thing about a YouTube ad, you know, people's attention spans are getting lower and lower. They're probably at a point where, is getting less than a goldfish probably at the moment, because the dubbed goldfish have, I think, 2 seconds worth of attention span or something, but people's attention it's diminishing, and understandably, because there's so many things out there trying to grab attention, steal people's attention, right? When it comes to growing your practice and getting new patients, that first part of getting new patients, attention is the biggest currency. The money you spend on it. Of course, you need to spend the money to get the attention, but it's all about how to do things to get attention. If you don't do that, you're just not going to get engaging people. So one of the things I see that physio practice owners tend to struggle with is, because obviously I did a physio degree, right? But I didn't get taught how to do this. So naturally, you're not inclined to think about these things, and it's a big step, it might seem like, and you just don't know how to do it, which is fair enough. But you've got to know how to grab attention and keep it and get them to do a certain action. Okay? What's important, what I'm trying to say, is the first 5 seconds of an ad is critical. That's the point where they decide, do I want to stick around, or they want to skip on YouTube, right? That's the time you really need to make big headway. Otherwise, they're gone. And next time the same ad comes up, they know what it's all about. They're waiting for the skip button. Skipped, they're gone. So the first 5 seconds is very, very critical. And before I share everything else here, the key thing to understand about any type of ad that is out there, including obviously YouTube ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, you name it, any type of ad, its primary role is not to get you a new patient, right? It's not to get you a new patient. That sounds strange, doesn't it? You go, why are we spending all this money on? Well, an ad's primary role is to get somebody from that platform over to your website, all right? In other words, its only role is to get a click. Its only role is to sell the click. And I really mean sell the click, right? And there's a few psychological ways that you need to be aware of and what you need to do to make sure that you can entice someone to click on your ad and go to your website, right? And like I said, one of the ways is the first 5 seconds. You need to grab attentions with what we call a hook before they can skip. Remember, we talked about the total patient matrix and where they sit, all right? Now, if you know they've never been to your website, once again, I'll show you exactly how this will go. If they've never been to your website, if they don't even think they're interested, if you shine an ad that is come and see physio, you can see they're going to skip that, right? Because it doesn't really appeal to them. But if you message and craft that video in a clever way that addresses, do you sit at a desk and you might not know there's a lower back pain looming if you don't set up your desk right. They might go, okay, I didn't know that was the case, but let me have a think about it, right? I might watch it to see what it's all about, right? So in other words, you need to really match the rung where you're in, right? So you've got to grab attention by being very specific to where they are in the total patient matrix, all right? That's the first 5 seconds. If you don't do that, they're gone, and they'll probably never come back as well. Next thing after you got them to do that, you got to show your brand and quickly show, like in there, you got to get into their psyche and tell them what they want to hear. But if you know where they are in that total patient matrix, you know where they're at. Like somebody who is having back pain because they're sitting at a desk, it's very easy. This is what we've done, blah, blah, blah. Other patients, they can come over, compared to somebody who's never seen you before, different message, right? And you gotta put your value proposition and educate them very quickly, right? And the other one is early call to action. So you need to have what typically works, again, depends on the place in the total patient matrix where you are, depends on what call to action you have on the ads, right? So obviously, for people who are in the 30%, they think they're not interested. You don't want a call to action saying, with us, they're just going to find that a bit weird. They're going to bounce off. You want to have learn more. Okay, I didn't know this, but let's learn more about it. Whereas, people are in this area, the buy now, you can go book an appointment. It's going to be more relevant to them. All right. So it depends on the kind of place you are in the total patient matrix as well. You want to have a call to action. The basic rule is you want to have an ad no more than 30 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds max if you can, right? Because remember, people don't have the attention span. You need to sell the click, in other words, like I mentioned, in 15 to 20 seconds. And the best way you can do that to sell the click is ramp up the sense of curiosity and intrigue. Get them to be really curious. As in, like, you're saying the message not only speaks to that rung in the total patient matrix, but they go, there's something else. Okay, I want to know a bit more about that. So curiosity, that's how you sell the click. So when you create the ad, keep two things in mind: where they are in the patient, total patient matrix, which rung, and always create ads that create curiosity and intrigue. Because remember, the only aim of any ad, including YouTube ads, is to sell the click. That's it. All right. Now, crafting engaging videos. We talked about the quick hook. You got to show the benefits very, very quickly to that particular rung, right? And relatable visuals. Use images that speak to the patient needs at that particular rung. You got to be very specific. All right. Like I mentioned, if you show something getting treatment to somebody who's not even thinking about it, probably going to get turned off more than likely, right? So lead them through the visuals that are extremely relatable to where they are in the total patient matrix. Okay? So how do you create attention in the first 5 seconds? How do you avoid that dreaded skip button? Well, I'll show you through a few scenarios. You can literally take these away and plug them into your YouTube ads, right? Obviously tweak them around as well, right? So there's few ways. The first way is what we call a question hook. For example, I'll read it out. Struggling with back pain? Here's a quick relief method you can try right now. Okay. If you're having back pain, let's just say they're either in that top matrix, right? Top buying now, 3%, or the one underneath, 6 to 7% open to. You show an ad like that, they're going to be very curious. They're going to click through to the right page, hopefully. So that's a question hook. Secondly is what we call a shocking statistic. For example, did you know 8 out of 10 adults will experience back pain? Let's break the cycle together. All right. That's a shocking statistic. And learn more how you can do that. All right. So that is going to create some curiosity, especially if people are, where would that work for? They're probably not thinking about it yet. Maybe even they don't think they're interested. Those are two wrong. All right. That wouldn't really apply for buying now because they know they have back pain. They're looking for a solution. And the 6 to 7%, they're looking for how to solve their back pain. All right. So that is called a shocking statistic. Next one is called a personal story teaser. All right. Here's how it goes. Meet John, a father of 2 who overcame chronic neck pain in just 3 weeks with us. Find out how he did it. Right? So you can imagine if you're having chronic neck pain, and you're going to go, all right, so he's a father just like me, and he has kids. I can relate to that. And, he overcame neck pain in just 3 weeks. How did he do that? Click. All right? That's called a personal story teaser. Next one's called a visual surprise. All right. So for example, start with a visual of someone instantly relieving shoulder tension using a simple technique. All right. So this is for maybe, in the top 3% buy now, they have shoulder pain. They'll need to look for a solution, or maybe even the 6 to 7% underneath that. Go back to the matrix. So buying now 3%, 6 to 7% open to it. Right. You can show, neck pain, relieved, he's happy very quickly. That's going to get them intrigued. Okay, I have this problem. I need to know how to do it. This looks like something I want to learn a bit more about. Bang, click. All right, that's a visual surprise. Another one is called a direct challenge. All right? think physiotherapy isn't for acute pain, think again. Watch how we change minds in minutes. All right. So these are just example ads, right? You can sort of tweak them to where you want them to be for your practice, but this is like a direct challenge. Or another one is a promotional offer. Want a pain-free life? Our 50 viewers get a free initial assessment. Okay. That is a promotional offer. You can insert whatever promo you want there, right? And it'll get clicks over as well. Here's another one. It's called an empathy statement. Here's how that goes. Tired of being sidelined by joint pain, or let's just say knee pain? See how we can help you get back in the game. All right. Maybe for people who are playing sport, it's a really good one. Tired of being sidelined by knee pain? See how we can help you get back in the game. All right. They're going to be curious and intrigued by that to go over. All right. It's a really, really good way to have a look at it. So those are some really good ways to get started if you haven't already. Or think about if you're running Google Ads, are you doing this? Are you really compelling for the first 5 seconds for someone to stick around? Now, one of the key things with YouTube ads is you target the right audience. You got to get very, very clear on how you target your patient, your target avatar. And I'm talking, you got to get very specific about their whole demographic picture. Are they mom or a dad, or are they a parent? Or what kind of job are they doing? When are they waking up? Are they exercising in the morning? Do they do yoga? What kind of music do they listen to? How many kids? How old are they? What kind of schools do they go to? Right? Where do their parents live? What is their lifestyle? You got to know really, really clear. All right. In other words, you want to paint a picture of what they do from waking up in the morning to waking up the next day. Everything that they potentially do, including how they sleep, what kind of bed, what kind of attitude. You got to paint the whole picture. Right? Because when you know that at that great detail, targeting, which you can do on YouTube ads, becomes very, very easy. Right? You can target by age, you can target by gender, parental status, household income, interests. There's so many parameters that you can target on YouTube. And how will YouTube know that? Because if you think about it, they have a history of what people watch, and from that, you can create an algorithm. That's what YouTube does, create an algorithm of all of these demographic points. YouTube already knows what people like, don't like, their demographic, all that kind of thing, just from their viewing history, right? And you can target these people on YouTube, and it's how you do it. Okay. So if you really think about it, you can do this to target active adults. Maybe, they love to play sport. Or seniors, or new patients, or people who are working in corporate desk jobs, right? All kinds of demographics you can really, really target if you know the kind of patient you want to go for, right? Then you can focus on their health interests, their wellness, like marathon runners, chronic pain sufferers, you name it. You can get really, really segmented down into the kind of person they are, demographically, and interest-wise, obviously, all that kind of thing. You can target this on YouTube. Okay. Life events is another one. People who are recovering from it or undergoing surgery, you can target, right? And in-market segments are people who are looking for physiotherapy or health-related treatments. Think about it. If you have a whole bunch of people who YouTube knows that they are like this, they're looking for health-related treatment, it is a great place to get in front of, especially considering, remember, it's a number 2 website in the world after Google. So the chances are your patients are on there. All right? You can create custom segments on Google, like literally searches related to back pain relief or sports injury rehab. You can do that on YouTube, right? You can re-engage past website visitors through different ads for that total patient matrix. You can really, if somebody went to a low back pain page on your website, but they didn't either book an appointment or call the practice or put a contact us form or didn't chat on the widget, on the website widget, you can literally give them a certain ad on YouTube related to lower back pain. Well, whatever page they visited, you can give them that. You can retarget, right? You can use your existing customer base to connect with them, right? To reconnect with them. So this is a really good way to reconnect with your past patients, right? Using existing database and reconnecting with them. Similar segments, meaning people who are, let's just say you have a segment within YouTube that's working really well for you, right? Whatever segment that is, you can actually ask YouTube to expand the number of users from a best performing audience. So you can ask them to find similar audiences from your best performing audiences. It's a really powerful way to expand more and more, remember, into that 70% of people who are the target market for your physio practice in the total patient matrix. Right? Now, but how do you control the costs on this though, especially if you're first starting out? One of the good ways to do it is use cost per view. That literally means you only pay if somebody views your ad, right? It's a good way to start off what's working and what's not working. There's so many other methods, like CPM is cost per 1,000 impressions and all that kind of thing, but cost per view is a good way to get started, right? And once again, if you've been watching our other podcasts and webinars as well, is you must A/B test everything. You track which ads get the clicks, which ad gets the engagement, where do they drop off. You can tell all that stuff in YouTube ads, right? You've got to really find out what works, what doesn't, and you've got to keep testing these regularly. At least once a month, you should have 2 ads running parallel to see which one works better. But you just don't know which one works. And you've got to stay current with whatever is changing in the environment right now, right? So, what works today, there's a good chance it won't work in a year's time because things change. People's attitudes change, people's language change, people's intentions change, people's tone and their view and perceptions change. A lot of things that can change. You need to keep creating ads, A/B testing them over time to make sure you stay relevant as well. All right. So that is how you run highly profitable YouTube ads for your physio practice. Like I said, if you're running them, fantastic. Go back through here and really, through the webinar, through this podcast, and look down at all the little details that we talked about and ask yourself, are you doing that? How can you improve it? Go ahead and implement it. If you're not, this is probably a good place to start thinking about how to create a channel. Like I said, there's the second most visited in the world that you can literally approach and attack 70% of the entire population that potentially can come to your practice as well. If you found that useful, or maybe, you're a physio practice owner who wants help in this from someone who is an expert in the area, in the physio world, if that is you and you want to know how to take your practice to the next level, then I encourage you to go to our website, physiomarketing.co. There's a book a call button up there. You can book a call. We can have a look at where you are and where you want to get to maybe in 12 or 24 months time and what's missing in between for you to get there. So there's a book a call button up there. If not, all good. Other than that, thanks for being here and we'll chat to you next time.